idea here that this video shows is that your brain works like, I think this is a beautiful analogy, works like a highway. If we think about, you know, how connections in your brain work, you have these interstate highways running from your behaviors. So things that you do, your brain learns and how to do these things well, and it creates these really strong connections like highways between things. And if you want to create a new habit, you need to start doing those things so that your brain will start creating those, cementing those, building those new highways or pathways. So, you know, you may have a weak 2-track road between something that you hardly ever do, like meditate, but you can change your brain by start doing that thing, and your brain, through the beauty of neuroplasticity, will then start to pay self-reinforcing mechanism that can work in your favor once you understand that you just need to start doing those behaviors, and your brain will help you by building those highways, those strong connections to the things, the behaviors you want to keep doing. So I think keeping that in mind and knowing that even though meditation, for example, may seem difficult in the beginning, or some behavior we want to do, if we keep in mind that we're just building those, reinforcing those 2-track roads and turning them into highways, that can keep the motivation going, knowing that your brain is so plastic and has the ability to change. And this is really coined in that wonderful kind of axiom, modern axiom of neuroscience, which is cells that wire together fire together. So they will, once they're wired together, will start firing together, and you will begin to create a whole new brain. You're rewiring your brain, literally. Something else that was really fundamental to my change was reading and understanding about brainwaves and brainwave states. So this book, like I said, this open focus brain book that I first read, and then other ones such as Joe Dispenza's book, Superhuman, and Anna Wise's book, Awakened Brain, talks about how our brains have different brainwave patterns that are firing. And so when we're, you know, when we're having a very busy, active brain, for example, we use a lot of beta brainwaves. And what we would actually prefer to have is to shift into a more relaxed, alert state and have lots of alpha brainwaves, for example, which are these slower than beta brainwaves. Or in meditation, we want to start to promote the intuitive, creative, deeper, slower brainwaves like theta. Many people have heard of delta, which are your sleep waves. So having, you know, slower sleep waves can also be very beneficial. And then actually, you have some high, very fast brainwaves called gamma that are actually associated with flow states and gratitude and awakened brain. So just the understanding that your brain has these different brainwave patterns, and through meditation and other gratitude practices, we can start to promote more alert, relaxed brainwaves and shift out of constant beta brainwave thinking that is associated with the monkey mind, for example. And so I liken this to, you know, kind of resist your inner cave being, you know, so, you know, we might have evolved to be on the savannah, you know, in this, you know, we have this system that's evolved to react to a threat like a lion, you know, on the savannah. But the problem is now is that we don't live in that environment anymore. And so something like a traffic jam or a long line at the grocery store is activating those same systems in our body that would have been designed to act to, say, a lion on the savannah. So what we need to do is shift our brain out of this pattern of beta brainwave thinking all chronically in that state all the time, and learn how to rest in a more alpha and relaxed state to promote a calm, relaxed system. And this is really what we're really doing, is turning on the parasympathetic nervous system and activating the vagus nerve. So that's our, the parasympathetic nervous system is our rest and digestive system. And what we don't want to be is in a heightened sympathetic nervous system all the time. So understanding this and using these principles to help understand your biology, and understand that when you meditate and do other practices, you're turning on these systems that are inherently there. We're just not used to or conscious of, oh, I could actually stop and breathe now and shift into this other state. Also, heart coherence is, I think, a really important concept, and some people here may have heard about heart rate variability. And I think one of the really key aspects of understanding about heart coherence is just this big aha that I know I had when I first kind of started to understand what was so important about heart coherence, was that the heart actually sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. And I think a lot of us, myself included, before I got into all this, kind of thought that my brain was the thing that was sending, the conductor sending all this information to the rest of my body, but actually your brain is receiving signals from the rest of your body. So when we slow down, for example, and breathe consciously through our, heart, we are activating, we're sending the signal to the brain to calm down. So understanding that and really understanding what that means is fundamental to starting to take charge of your own biological system. Also knowing that the heart produces 5,000 times stronger of an electromagnetic signal than your brain does. So the power of heart coherence and coherent breathing is really phenomenal. And so I, for example, I got a heart math device and started to learn how to create heart coherent breathing, which is having this variation in your heartbeat in a more, like on the right-hand side, in this more coherent pattern rather than an incoherent pattern as shown on the left. And I wrote a lot about this and some of the science behind this in an article I wrote for Medium, so you could link to that, Shane, called The Heart of Our Mind. And just really talked about the importance of these heart-brain connections to rewire our brains for calm and clarity. So Shane, would you sit with me for just a minute? I want to guide folks in just a kind of simple 4 to 8 coherent breathing experience. And I have one other of these kind of personal experiences.
Yeah, of course.
All right, great. So just close your eyes. And we're just going to we're going to breathe in for 4. And then a long, slow out for 8. I want you to breathe in feelings of compassion and breathe out in gratitude and breathe out love. So this can be breathing in and feelings for family members, pets, something that just brings you great joy. But when we combine these slower breathing, like a 4-8 breathing pattern, with feelings of love and compassion, we start to increase our heart coherence. So I just want to do this to get people a feeling for what this feels like. Two, 3, 4, out for 8. In for 4. Out for 8. In for 4. Out for 8. Great. So that just gives you a little bit of a flavor for what that was like. And Shane, I don't know if you want to give me any input or feedback into your experience.
Yeah, sure. It's So I do use the heart math, and it is really amazing how impactful it can be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think breathing exercises like this are great because if you don't have one of those devices, you can still get a lot out of it. And one of the things that's new for me is attaching the intention of the inhale and then a different intention with the exhale.
Yeah.
And so I do a lot of different types of structured breathing, but that was a nice addition because I could, the first round or two, I was very conscious of like, oh, I'm choosing to like assign something to this inhalation or exhalation. But then I kind of got into it and then it was like going on its own. And that was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. So, really key in the heart math and the heart coherence literature is this tying an emotion to and a felt experience to the breathing practice as really supercharging your coherence. So that's great. Thank you for your input. That's perfect.